Hello, this is NSKN Small Talk. I'm Kuba.
And I'm Wesley.
And we're going straight to the news. Okay, that's the news. So let's start with the fact that we have a Pledge Manager open.
Yes, we have a Pledge Manager open right now for our Dice Settlers campaign. You can go down to the doobly-doo to find the direct link to the campaign. And there is one more piece of news, because not only you can get Dice Settlers, the deluxe edition of Dice Settlers, and by the way, the deluxe edition will not be available in retail stores, just the regular edition.
Well. If a store bought a copy of the game in our campaign, it would be available, but it won't be available on like regular basis. We'll not be selling it to them after the campaign.
Of course. So with the regular retail release, the deluxe games will no longer be available, and the deluxe game comes with a set of very nice components, some very nice resources, some extra molded little houses and little tents, so a lot of goodness that makes the game look nice. But moreover,
as what I already said, you can get there not only the Dice Settlers or the deluxe edition of Dice Settlers. You can also get yet another huge game that we're gonna publish this year that will premiere in October, which means Spiel for Europe and basically early October for US. And the game is Teotihuacan, which is a game from
Daniele Tascini, a man you may know from small independent games like Tolkien or The Voyages of Marco Polo.
Yes, and what can we tell you about it? We will tell you nothing, you know? We'll tell you nothing, we'll tell you just... This is a great game, and you can pre-order it right now and get it earlier than everybody else, and for a better price, so go and back it.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, what's next when it comes to news? There are events coming that we're gonna take part in, which is Origins for US, and there is also, of course, UK Games Expo for UK. So if you want to come by and say hi, you know, play test our prototypes, or just buy our great games, which is the best thing you could do, then please come to Origins and UK Games Expo, find us there and play our games with her.
We'll be happy to say hello, we'll be happy to talk to you, always happy to see you.
Yes, absolutely. What else? Well, there is also this thing that our team is growing a bit.
Yeah, we're expanding. So right now we have one more person working for us and with us, and that is David Turczi. Turczi, actually, I should really learn that already. So David Turczi is working with us. Again, a person you might know from games like Anachrony or the Days of Ire,
or Petrichor,
or Knights of Fire,
or
finally Dice Settlers, of course. So he is working with us now, helping us to develop games, to make them even better, even cooler,
and to prepare the rules for yet another person that we're working with right now, which is the one and only
Paul Grogan.
Yeah.
And this amazing rules specialist is making our rules infinitely clear. It's really amazing. So we have expanded, we are doing more, and we are doing better stuff for you.
Yes, one more thing, actually two more things, but let's start with this one. So there is this publishing house, a great company from Russia called Cosmodrome Games, and they brought Natives, a fantastic game to Spiel Essen, and we fell in absolute love with it.
Yeah, it's not surprising. It's a very smart, very fast-playing tableau builder, card-based tableau builder.
With an open draft kind of mechanism. It's really witty. Now the thing is that we didn't really think that the theme that was used for the game was the one that we would love to publish it under. So we're retheming the game, and we have already found a fantastic illustrator who will work with us on that, and I'm hoping that I will be able to show you, for example, a cover of the game in the next couple of weeks, and the game will be rethemed to something else. You'll see.
You'll see.
And so expect the Natives, which will not be the Natives anymore, to come under NSKN banners to you in the next 9-12 months, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. And the very last thing is that Asmodee has launched like a movie studio. They will basically license out and co-produce movies under the licenses of their games. So there will be games, there will be movies that will tell stories about the games they did. But this is not only the news, this is also our talk of the week.
So more on that later.
welcome back in Talk of the Week, and as we said, we're gonna talk about movies, games, relationships.
Yeah, so normally it went one specific way, as in you got a game, usually a video game, but sometimes also a board game, so you usually got a movie and
Or a book,
or
a license.
and then you would get a game,
Yeah.
right? And you had different types. I mean, you would have those games which most people simply call cash-ins. So you get a game that is very simple and that its mechanisms.
It's like
have
Top a Trump, Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Then you would have like proper gamers games, and for example, my first game, which was based on a piece of literature, was I think Pillars of the Earth, which was a very decent, to say the least, Euro game, and one that is sought after these days a lot. But
There was also The World's End.
yeah, and now
we have Pillars of Fire.
Pillar of Fire, I think, yeah. So anyway, it happened a lot that the other media would be then put into a board game, and sometimes it was like, a board game for very casual players, sometimes a board game for us gamers.
Of course, there were some cases when gaming influenced the filming industry, like for example Mortal Kombat the movie, which was one of those movies that when I was growing up, it was in the cinemas. It was a terrible movie and a fantastic one. Sometimes it happens. Or we like 2-3 years ago, there was Warcraft in the cinemas. A lovely movie. He doesn't think so.
I don't think so. Anyway, so we had video games influencing cinema, and for years we had cinema and books influencing games, both video games and board games. But now Asmodee is doing something very different. They said that they're gonna take gaming properties and make movies out of them.
Yeah, which is actually, I would love to see, for example, Time Stories Netflix series. That would be great. I mean, come on, imagine Time Stories, which is basically, for me, a ready scenario, because it's not really a game. You just follow a path of something, but it's a great scenario.
Burn.
Yeah, but it's a great scenario for a movie. So if you already have like, I don't know, 10 expansions for it or something like that. So it's a proper season for Netflix.
Yeah,
right?
of course. I mean, Time Stories is kind of a no-brainer when it comes to this. And you could either have every episode or every season being a completely different story in a completely different timeline, perhaps connected with the agents that go back in time and so on.
I can also imagine Catan, the TV series, and the episode of He Gave Me a Sheep.
Yeah. So.
And I gave him a rod.
No, but then again, seriously, can you imagine other games coming from different properties? I mean, Asmodee has a lot of them, and.
Yeah, they have so many that it's absolutely. I mean, I can imagine loads of them to happen. Although, of course, there would be some that would be silly.
Yes, but still, I mean,
they've got Mayfair, right? So they have rights to Agricola.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a great one.
Yeah.
I've just built my 5th stone room.
Agricola, farm the lightning. Anyway, so it's easy to really like. Time Stories is a no-brainer, but really I'm most intrigued and interested by possible other licenses. I mean, take a game that doesn't really spell, oh, this is a movie story, and make a movie out of it. Will this happen? I don't know, but I know that I will be, if they decide to do like something like Settlers of Catan the movie, although we got a book. I've never read the book Settlers of Catan, but
but on the other hand, it works so well the other way. I mean, the Star Wars game, the Rebellion.
Rebellion, yeah.
It's a splendid game. I'm a Twilight Struggle fan, and Rebellion for me was a proper refreshment of that game. There are some good Call of Cthulhu games like the Arkham Horror or the Eldritch thing, right?
Yeah, that's interesting, because as far as we can tell, we don't really have good Cthulhu mythos, let's say, based movies or series. If there are any, they are few and far between, and mostly very independent, very small productions. So we never got really a good, proper Cthulhu-based movie.
Oh.
So is it possible that Asmodee will
Arkham Horror, the series.
Arkham Horror?
Oh
God!
I would watch it.
I would.
Oh yes.
I would.
Asmodee, please do that for us.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to do that. Okay.
Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror. I don't know. Like
Call the Netflix guys.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, the guys who did Stranger Things and do Cthulhu with them.
Yes, do that. Do that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Right.
So I think, I'm sorry, we're overexcited about
Probably.
the prospect of the Cthulhu proper series done by Asmodee and Netflix. So the thing is that in the end of the day, we believe that, I believe that as long as you have a strong story behind, you can make a great movie, because movies are about telling stories. Now, some people believe that board games are about telling stories as well. I don't believe that. I believe that board games are about winning and gaining more victory points than your opponents. But maybe it can be translated into a proper movie.
Maybe. Well, I guess we'll have to see. Now, what about you? Do you think there are some good games that could be made into movies? And by the way, we already took the Cthulhu and the Time Stories. These are our ideas.
Yeah, sorry,
So
you can't take it.
Yeah, you have to come up with others. So, do you think it's a good idea? Do you think what game would you like to see as a movie or a Netflix series or?
And why? And if you have a really good idea, we'll send you a copy of Shadowscape, which is a great adventure game.
Yes. So put your ideas in the doobly-doo under the movie, and the best one will be rewarded with a copy of Shadowscape.
Absolutely, signed by the author.
That's me.
Okay, so now we're gonna move to the great games we played. Great games we played are the 3 titles we believe that you should learn about, hear about, or we basically really want to share our thoughts about playing them. And I can start with Innovation. Innovation is a card game, is an old card game that's been on the market for already quite some time. And I know that most people, they either love or hate the game, because the game seems to be very chaotic, very random, very luck-based. Some of its additions are really ugly, and it takes a long time to learn how to play it. It's good advertising for the game, isn't it?
It's great advertising, although I played the game with you, and your win rate kind of says that it's a little more than just luck, right?
Yeah, it is. Actually, the game is really complex and takes a lot to actually learn how to win it, and you have to know what cards are hiding in the deck, obviously. But sometimes whatever you do, the game will just bash you, and that's just the way the game is. I love it because I love the way it uses, again, Mr. Chadwick, he knows how to make you use the item that the card is in so many ways that it's really surprising, because you can use it this way, that way, or flip it and turn it, and it's amazing how much he can squeeze out of, this little piece of content. It's just amazing. I love it.
But it's a bit of the thing that Carl Chadwick does, right? I mean, when you play Glory to Rome for the first time, it seems the same thing. Oh, it's very sprawling, it's very big, but it's also difficult to control. And as you play it again and again, you learn that you can control that game and you can have a consistent win rate.
You can play Innovation on Board Game Arena. So if you are not convinced, go there, try it. It's a lovely game, and I really recommend it for everybody who likes card games. Just try it. It's a 2-player game though. Don't let anybody tell you that you can play it with more players. You can't. It's uncontrollable. It's just not. It's a 2-player game.
Okay, so Innovation is basically a Civ game, right? It's a game with a Civ theme at least?
Oh yes, although I would rather say that this is a tableau building, engine building, tech tree building kind of game.
But it has a Civ theme, just like the game I played this week, which is Through the Ages, a new story of civilization. Now, this is a classic, and it's kind of first edition as a classic, and the new one is kind of a modern classic of board gaming. And again, the game, this one is a big sprawling Civ game, a proper Civ game, you could say. It's still amazing after so many years. I mean, I've been playing the game since kind of sort of its first edition, and now this one. I've had it obviously for some time, and
you have both, don't you?
Yeah, I do have both, but it kind of for sentimental reasons. I mean, the new story of civilization for all of you who still have the old edition and are thinking about the new one is just like the old one, only it looks a bit nicer, that's one of the things, but it's also slightly streamlined, but in a very good way. It does not eject any of the features of the game, it just makes the math more manageable. And
I have to admit that as much as I love it, I've always treated it as a two-player computer game because it's so fiddly on the table, and with more than 2 players it's just so full of direct negative interaction, and I just could never stand it.
Well, the truth is I like to play a 2-player as well, mostly. And the new edition is much less fiddly because the idea is that the math was a bit cut down, so there are fewer tokens around, but you don't feel that the game is smaller. So that's one of the very good things going for it. And also, I believe it is a game available on Board Game Arena.
I think so, yeah.
Either way, you can also get a computer version of it on Steam, so if you'd like to enter from that direction, that's also probably a very good idea, because the Steam version has everything, plus it has some content that is specific to the electronic version of the game, like the challenges. So again, if you are a person who plays the game a lot and you want to play it a bit more, and sometimes play it in a weird way, like take one leader and stay with that leader for the whole game, or make everything 20 or 30% cheaper in the game, you can also try that. Still, the game, the actual board game on the table, it's amazing. It has you have the feeling of really building your civilization from nothing into a powerful nation, and there are so many ways to do things differently. It's one of my favorite, if not favorite game of all time.
It almost sounds like a sandbox, and I have to say that I do have that feeling of sandbox when I'm playing Descent with my daughter. As you might know or might not know, I'm not really into cooperative games, and I really don't think that adding any electronic applications to a board game is a good idea. Now, Błażej here, he loves adventure games. I'm more of a Eurogamer. But we sometimes give each other gifts. This time, Błażej gave a gift to my daughter, who is 7 years old, and it was Descent, one of the favorite games. Yeah. One of the first big games you played, right?
Well, the first edition, yes, was among my first, 10 or 12 designer games.
So Helen, my daughter, got this game from Błażej, and we've been playing it since quite a few times already. And I have to say that this has been one of the best toys my daughter ever gotten. Yeah, I mean, it's lovely. We spend so much fun time with those cool miniatures, and the app is very friendly. We don't have to play against each other. We're both in one team. We're going through these dungeons, doing quests, finding items. She's always this like barbarian warrior girl, and I'm always like a healer running afterwards, just trying to keep her alive, or us both. But it's fun. She's having so much fun. So I have to admit that a co-op with an app might be a great game, especially for parents with kids. So, Descent, yeah.
Yeah, it is a good game. And since we're talking about co-op, I'm gonna go for Hero Realms. The game itself, the base game, is not really cooperative, although you can get some single enemies to play against cooperatively if you want to. Now, I played the whole campaign, which is a separate box called Ruins of Thundar. And Ruins of Thundar allows you to take a hero, or allows you and the group you're playing with, everyone takes a hero. You get some special abilities for your character, as you do with character packs for the game. But this time, as you play different scenarios, as you progress through the campaign, you can actually buy more abilities or upgrade the ones you have. You have some persistency in your starting deck, which is also very cool. The game is really smartly designed around the idea of creating a difficult opponent, but not very difficult to deal with, as in the game is not really that fiddly, you don't have to do a lot.
How different is it from Star Realms? Because I know and like Star Realms, and I thought that Hero Realms is basically the same game.
Well, when you compare base to base, it's probably the difference is not huge. I mean, you still get similar factions which work similarly, as in, for example,
like healers, aggressive ones.
Exactly.
And so
yeah? if you get, for example, the red cards in Star Realms, the red heroes and the red cards in Hero Realms will work similarly. So there will be some damage dealing and some deck cleaning in those two things. However, Well, one of the differences is the theme for the game. And it kind of, sort of, to me, it works very well as well. There is a bit of difference in composition. I think you have a little more when it comes to, well, what is bases in the Star Realms. You get a bit more champions than bases in Star Realms, and champion is basically works the same way.
And it's a two-player game only as well?
It is a two-player game unless you're playing cooperatively. Now, the Hero Realms comes with those hero expansions, and that makes a huge difference, because if you buy a hero expansion you get a specific starting deck. You get a hero with their own 2 special abilities, one which you can use once during the game and one which you can basically pay every turn to use. You get a different starting life total, and you get a deck that is different, that already has a little engine built in, and you can basically build on that to go even further. So this is very cool. And of course the cooperative version is a big step into a different direction, but it plays cool, it's fast, it's furious, and what's surprising is that if you go for the Ruins of Thunder campaign, it creates a very nice and very kind of consistent narrative which will guide you through the scenarios and tell you.
I have to cut in here because he can talk on like that about cooperative games.
No, I'm done.
Are you?
Yes.
Alright. Mr. Rosenberg, he does great games and he does, let's say, less great games. So he did this weird trilogy of Agricola, Caverna and Le Havre, which I don't understand why people even care to play. But then he did the 2-player small versions of them, which is Le Havre, Inland Port, Agricola,
All Creatures Big and Small.
Yes, and Caverna, Cave vs. Cave. All these games are absolutely brilliant. They're fast, they're neat, they're very tight, and Caverna, Cave vs. Cave is the last one he published, and that's the last one we played. We actually played a game just before filming this episode, and it is a splendid 2-player game.
I agree.
Every single decision you make matters. You have very limited number of actions in the game, because you're playing 8 rounds, and you will basically have 19 actions throughout the whole game, and that's it. And you have to make sure that you really know what you're doing. 19 or 23, sorry, I think it's 23. And because it's 6, and then it's 12, it's 18, and then it's 22. So 22 actions, yeah, something like 20 actions, and every single action matters, every single choice you make matters. Every decision, if you want to build a building or get some resources or use a building's ability or dig through decay, it will. I mean, our last game, the score was 54 to 52, which means that, you know, one move there would change the result.
Absolutely.
And you know that, oh, okay, I should have done that, and then it would be better. Then you sit down to it again, and it's a completely different game because it's very replayable. So we do both recommend.
Definitely. I really also love how it compresses kind of the Caverna experience into a smaller and shorter game, having all of the, well, okay, there isn't any adventuring, which was kind of the staple of Caverna, but a lot of the things are in the game. It feels nice, it feels fresh, it's great.
Yeah, and on the contrary from Caverna, the big one, it's playable, so.
Right, so for the final game, also a proper Euro game, which is Santa Maria. It was a bit of an Essen darling, which quickly disappeared. Now it's, I guess, more widely available, and I managed to play it. The game is really, really cool. The base of the game is kind of tile laying, but on your little board, and you get kind of Tetris-shaped tiles, which is you get those little 2s and the 3s, which are L-shaped, and dice drafting. So every turn some dice are drafted. You, as one of the actions, you can take a die, and then you go through a column from top to bottom, activating everything you've placed there. Now, putting those things together, the fact that you have to somehow plan the things that are put on your board, and the order in which you will be activating, because you always will be activating top to bottom, and sometimes it's important because one of the important actions of the game is sending resources back to Europe. So what you do, you have to have the resources before you activate the space that allows you to send the resources. So it's not only, and it's important for final scoring how you put stuff on your board. So there are a lot of balls to juggle at the same time, trying to make the best of this game. It lasts for 3 rounds, which means it's kind of short, but in fact it's actually perfect. I mean, it compresses so much gaming into something that is relatively fast, it's hard to believe. So if you like any of those things, if you like dice drafting, if you like this, you know, what action will I put there, and if you like putting stuff on the board, making the board, trying to fill it up with differently shaped tiles, that's something you should probably get on your radar.
Great, and now we're gonna move to the Hidden Peril. Hidden Peril. Hidden Peril is this part of our vidcast when we're trying to bring some spotlight to a game that we believe is a great one and not many people have heard about it. And this time it's
Iron Curtain.
Da-dam, da-dam. It's a game done by Jolly Roger Games and Ultra Pro, and it's basically a Twilight Struggle blitz.
Yes. And again, for me, it's suddenly a theme of this episode: compression of stuff. I mean, Iron Curtain is a game that comes with what? 8 plus 8 plus 2, that gives us 18 cards.
Yeah.
Right? It gives us 18 cards, plus one oversized card, which basically is a track which will be moving one token around, and it comes with a little dice, with a little bag of cubes.
So that's all you have in this box.
Yeah, this is everything.
But it's totally worth it.
Absolutely. What happens in the game is that you will be playing for 2 rounds. Every round you will be playing 4 cards. You will leave one of the cards secretly for yourself for later, which will score you points, or not, because it might happen that it will not score you points. And what you're doing is you're using the cards to build a map of the world, and as you play every card, you either get influence from the card, or you get to use its event. So if you're thinking Twilight Struggle, it already sounds like that, because again, if you're playing a card that belongs to your opponent, and every card has an affiliation, they get to do the event before you put your influence. And also, the way you place this on the table matters, because you can only influence the countries which are next to something where you have influence already.
And this geographical aspect of the game, when you're building the map, it's just so cool. It gives you this ability to create new connections throughout the world. It's great. The ideas from Twilight Struggle are obviously here, because you have even the control thing over a country. So if somebody's in control of a country, you will need more points to get there, and so on and so on. There is a scoring of each of the regions or continents basically through the game, and then there is a final scoring as well. And the game can finish abruptly when somebody gets to 8 points. It's splendid, and it plays in 20 minutes. And actually, when we're talking about it, I'm hoping that after we stop filming this episode, we'll just sit down to a quick play of that, because it's a really good game. So if you have not heard of it, or if you heard of it but you had doubts, stop having them and buy this game and play it, because it's great. This game comes from the people who did 13 Days and 13 Minutes. And I played 13 minutes. I have not played 13 days yet, although I have it. And I believe that this is so much. So this is the best compression of Twilight Struggle I've ever met so far.
But if you like Twilight Struggle, you'll probably like this. You'll probably love this. If you don't really like Twilight Struggle, you can still try this, because it is a bit of its own game, and it is cool. And if you want to play a game with a similar theme and a similar feel that is, you know, shorter, if you're a person who loves Twilight Struggle and want to go traveling and want to take this game, it actually fits on a quite small table. There are so many good things about this little box here.
So, once again, Iron Curtain, you should play it and have fun. And I hope that you liked our episode. Remember that we asked you a question about the games that you'd like to be implemented as movies, and the best answer you give us will get a copy of Shadowscape signed by the author sent to you. So please do that, stay with us, like us, subscribe us, share it with your friends, and play more games.
And see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.